manipulation with content.
And yeah, that's basically what it is. But more specifically speaking, though, it's technology that is able to overwrite, like, let's say, a video or a voice recording with another person's voice. Artificially. So that also relates to artificial
I've studied that before, so I figured it out. But like, that's what it's like officially called, or that's just kind
that's what it's called, a deepfake. So if you YouTube it, deepfake, you could see someone like on the Tonight Show doing an impersonation. I think there's a popular one with Tom Cruise impersonator. He's a famous actor, but this guy, not Tom Cruise, the guy who's impersonating Tom Cruise, I forgot his name. He impersonates Tom Cruise really well. And so what they do is, with deep fake technology, they implement Tom Cruise's face on his person. Do you want to see it by any chance?
No, I already know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, because there was this one where they're like, imagine if they did it with the president, because they showed an example of what the president was.
Is that the daily one? The weekly on
No,
Hulu?
it was like I did it through my class. Okay. So I saw that they were like manipulating the voice.
Yeah.
And they're like, imagine if somebody got their hands on this type of technology, and they were doing this, and they did the whole thing where the president like is on the podium, and there's like the light, and it's like the hall in the White House, and then they're speaking and saying, like, ordering the public to do something.
Yes.
But it's so real. It looks so real.
It's
and so that and they were doing that with celebrities also and stuff like that. So yeah, I know what deepfakes is. I just obviously I needed like an explanation, which is good, because I don't think everybody is aware of that, and that stuff does exist.
I know it because I'm like, I look into these like it's one of the subjects that came out on the weekly, which is the New York Times, Hulu, and Fox. I think they come out on like. It's
crazy how real it is, like how real it looks, and you're like, whoa, it just sounds so real. Like, it's so spot on with like their lips moving, and it's not even like it's not like when you're watching a show and they like change the language, because it's like spot on. Their lips are moving with the exact words that the message is saying.
Yeah, so. and it's that's the point in the technology and the artificial intelligence kind of correlating with that. And I wanted to kind of discuss as far as what potential futures that have, where we have people like, making fake videos of, let's say the president, like you mentioned, like giving fake speeches, or where would that credibility be now with like, regular content that you see online, videos? Is it going to be believable? Are people going to discredit it whenever they play them? I think that was one of the arguments that they made in that show, was that nowadays, even the president, like Donald Trump, he makes these like, oh, that's fake. They added some stuff, which, I mean, we've seen, but it's just crazy how that technology is being progressed.
It is really crazy. And I've told so many people, like, don't believe everything you're seeing on the internet. And people are like, well, I saw it on Facebook. That is not a legitimate like source to get stuff. I'm like, that's not what Facebook was made for. Like, now it's being used for that, and advertisements, and just pushing things out when there's like political campaigns happening. I'm like, it's all being used for something to reach certain people, but don't believe things just there. Like, it's not all real. Some of it is real, but you got to read, and you got to make sure that these sources are cited,
so regarding
by
your
reliable
news,
people.
How do you get your news?
I listen to I read, and I watch both channels. I watch Fox News and I watch CNN.
Yeah.
Then
I try to stay away from those. Honestly,
I do CBS. I watch all of them, but I mostly stick to most. It's more accessible to watch CNN and Fox News.
So you basically like do if it's all aligned, you believe it, right? Like, let's say there's 5 different news stations that are all telling the same thing. You'll be like, okay, that's news confirmation because there's unbiased and impartially like aligned, right?
The thing is, with news anchors, everything is scripted anyways. Don't people think that they go off and they like put their own personal thing in it? Some do, but it's all scripted. They're like reading things off a teleprompter. Mm-hmm. So there's a topic, and then everybody has their perspective. So it doesn't even matter. I don't really believe what they're saying. Like, I just see like, what is the news story about? Yeah. And then I come up with my own perspective, because there's no point in hearing that person's perspective. Every network, every person has an agenda. So I read a story from
even the New York Times.
Everything. Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. I mean, the New York Times.
That's podcasts. The reason I started listening to them, was because I thought they were impartial. It's only recently that I started noticing their. Here's the thing. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. Like, I'm not like, oh, I love that president, I'm MAGA, whatnot. But I do see when a news channel attacks on their own like impartialness, and I don't think that's correct. I don't think news channels should, go off of that, which is why I listen to a lot of, and that's why I unsubscribed to you guys.
For a long time, I was not watching the news. I didn't care about the news. Like the first election, like once President Trump was campaigning and doing his like speeches and debates and all of that, I just didn't favor neither Hillary Clinton nor Donald Trump because it was just so overwhelming for me, and there was just so much fake news on my news feed, and people that I was connected to were sharing things, and then I would
Don't you just hate it when people share shit like without even seeing the source?
Yeah, because I would go see the source and it was not even reliable.
Yeah,
like the bait, the clickbait, the topic,
the onion photo. And shit.
I like the onion because it's the sarcasm.
Yeah, well, yeah,
because
but people don't know that.
Oh no,
people
it's hilarious.
People will share shit, and dude, I've seen people share, and you see like for example, the onion, and you're like. And they put like, oh my God, like what the fuck? I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
The Onion is a type of like it's content that's produced to make fun of the news.
Tabloid,
it's like it's supposed to be funny, like it's supposed to be humorous, like how outrageous something is. Yeah. They like make fun of it.
People see it on Facebook.
It's not hard news.
Yeah, no, it's not. But people see it on Facebook. They see it looks professional. They see it has a link. They share it, and it's like that. And I've seen so many people, and dude, I fucking unfollow people who do that because I hate that. It's like you're part of the problem, dude. You're not checking your source.
I don't favor any type of news source. I read about the topic, I see the news, and I watch these different channels, and I come up with my own thing. But if it's not directly impacting me, I take it for what it is with a grain of salt, and that's it. Like I'm just like, okay, cool. Like it doesn't really affect me. And I don't know. It's people. I don't know. And I have friends that are who are journalists, who are reporters, and I ask and I do my homework. Like that's all I have to say. Yeah. Like I do check my sources, but I don't have time to also go. That's what's the hard part is like when I have to. It's a lot of work to see a story and then go and read it and then figure out if it's real and then go see like who like the source of it. It's a lot of work, and it's really hard. And I agree that. People who are sharing content, it's too much work though, there's people that don't have the time to do it,
and then they just share
it and they believe that's what it is. But when you're sharing a photo, one thing, somebody shared a photo of Donald Trump, and he was like in a costume, and I'm like, we don't even know if that photo is like real or not, and you're sharing it because it could be Photoshop, like it's something that could be Photoshopped. And this reputation of this person, it could have been anybody. It's like, but you're associating this photo that, I mean, it was a little bit off, but the person who shared it, I was like, that's just like, it's kind of irresponsible also. Like it is your social media, so you could share whatever you'd like. That's fine. But
you are contributing.
You need to be responsible though, to making sure that is like, if it was a real photo, then I would be like, okay, you're sharing it and you're bringing awareness to it.
And that's the thing though. That's technology, right? That's that new.
Yeah, it's like hard to say whether or not it is an accurate photo or not. So people watch out and be aware of like the content that is being shared with you.
Yeah, no, you
like just be conscious of that, because not everything out there is real, but not everything out there is fake either.
I think it's good too. Here's a reason why. Before technology, before social media, what was the way you got your news? The newspaper. And how was it moderated? Do you know what I mean? You didn't even know they had agenda. It was difficult. You know what I mean? Now we have all these news sources, and I know it's a lot of work to do, but the point is that if you want to, you can do it relatively easily. Like let's say back in 20 years ago, not even that far, if you wanted to check the reliability of a newspaper and whether the story was, you have to call people. You have to go and ask, and you have to ask other people. Now you just do a couple of Google searches, which I know we're being spoiled and saying like, oh, it's a lot of work, but you know what I mean? It's relatively accessible, and one of the good things about having that access.
100% for sure. Like it is. Like I agree that accessibility with technology and being able to check your sources is really important. And I think that for me, credibility is really important. Like if a reporter has been doing it for years and is really values if they value their integrity, and first and foremost, people that have ethics, that like you have to have ethics. Like, you have to make sure you know, like, what's right and what's wrong. And if you're doing a story,
That moral
like,
compass, yeah.
be as unbiased as possible and just report the story for what it is.
I think as a journalist, that's one of the biggest attributes you can have, is being unbiased.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing.
It's important to be serving the community that you're in, and you also have to make sure to be inclusive, because there is people with different perspectives, and we have to be respectful to that. I've disagreed with so many people on their thoughts, but I'm like, I have to listen to what they have to say, because that is their experience, that is their truth, and I need to understand that. You know what I'm saying? So I totally get the whole access of like technology, but it's also like very hindering to us also, because I don't know. I think that
there's a pro and a con
like,
for everything.
It's on the internet. It's real.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know,
well,
but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always gonna be an idiot. You know.
Yeah, it was overwhelming for a long time. I'm telling you, watching the news, because it was a lot of. I'm like, man, this is just too much. Like, it was overwhelming. A lot of people our age didn't vote in the last election because people were just like turned off by so much fake news.
Oh yeah,
like it was a big turnoff.
Sure.
So
it's
people
annoying.
Were like,
It's annoying.
I don't know.
Why bother? Everything's fake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
So I was turned off by it, and I kind of just signed off for a while. But
I also like the speed at which everything kind of transmits. You know, back in the day, things would take like, you know, before you knew something was happening, it would be like at best a day, 3 days, a week. Now it's within seconds, minutes, hours, and then, you know, second opinions, and you see the comments, you see what people are thinking. That's what I always do. I always go to the comments for any, you know, second opinion, like especially when it comes to news articles. I always say, hey, this is fake, or no, this is real, and it's cool to get that perspective. So that's why I think, like, yeah, although there is some negative connotations with, you know, technology, news stories being spread on technology, like fake news, I think we have that accessibility to kind of fact check, reasonably accessible, because you can check the comments. It's not like another thing is the comments are disabled. That's when you're like, wait, what's going on? You know what I mean? Which we've seen on YouTube videos.
Yeah, the crazy thing about like media networks is that they count on ratings. They count on people to watch.
So they need that click shit.
Yeah, which is, it's like, man, there's a lot of ethical violations there, because people are not going to watch boring news. They're going to watch something that is like, it's fear, and that they need to stay up to date with, because it's directly affecting them. And so they'll say or tweak or give you a little like tease of what it's going to be about, so that you can tune in, and it's all strategized to make sure that they're keeping people enticed with their network.
Yeah.
So
what I do like about that type of scenario, when they do things like that, when a news article, like for example, the New York Times, when I saw one of their interviewers attacking Donald Trump, like I said, I don't like the guy. Not like, it's not the best president I would like want, but the apparent bias is there.
Yeah.
So you kind of realize, oh, okay, they have something else up their sleeve. They're on this other agenda, and that's when you're like, okay, now note taken. I'm not gonna take everything. I'm gonna take everything they say, as they say, with a grain of salt or sand, with a grain of sand or some shit like that. Salt, sand, dirt. Yeah. Right. So that being said, I know a lot of people with the whole technology thing. They like.
But I have a niece and nephew.
Or like regarding iPads with them. What is your concern on that? Like, what do you think about that?
I think it's really damaging, like, to them, because it's so consumed. And oh my God, what people don't know is that there's scientists, actual people with so much background, so much data, so much research, that creates apps to make them addicting. The colors that they use, the content that they use, the sound effects that they use to entice people, children, whoever, to download their apps, to stay as long as you can on their apps, whether that's Netflix, Amazon Prime, whether you're on a Facebook, like the colors, the newsfeed, the lighting.
Is that the point? Like as if you're business, right?
It is, but it's kind of dangerous to our society.
But at what point is it your responsibility to kind of manage your addiction?
Well, it's a parent's responsibility, because the children don't know any better.
Yeah.
But a lot of parents don't want to sometimes deal with.
Yeah, no, they don't.
The entertaining your child. Not all parents. I'm just saying a lot of kids are just like, man, I want, and there's no type of like discipline sometimes with, hey, it's only going to be for an hour, like go outside and play. Like
my kids use the iPad all day. I'm not gonna lie, they do, but it's under supervision. In fact, I could arguably say I think it's like one of the best things you can do for your kids, because especially if you're watching their content,
supervising them.
Yeah, no,
or letting them use it all
it's
day.
It's not supervised. Like it's not per se where you're kind of watching them like without stopping. It's more moderated. So what I'm saying is I don't let them download like random shit.
Well,
Like
there's password protection stuff. Right? There's that part of it. I'm just saying that you're taking we talked about introvert, extrovert in one of our other episodes, and I think that plays a part into it too, though.
No, no. If you're like sticking there all day, but if there's no guidance, I think that's the biggest thing. Like everything, there's moderation. I give my kids the iPad, they look at it, and they're there for hours, dude. If you look at the screen time right now, it's like probably like 6+ hours, which is a lot.
A day?
A day, 6+. But that's not the problem. The problem isn't how much well, it kind of is, right? But the problem isn't like strictly how much time, it's how you're managing it. Like whether that's all they do. I mean, here's the thing. It has a lot of times, like I mentioned this in the other talk we had, is you want to limit these problems to be isolated.
Yeah.
The fact that people, and I've seen the kids who are on iPads and they have no social skills, but because their parents are either not giving them enough attention or working and not giving them enough attention. I work from home. So whenever I see my kids and I listen to random shit, I'm there sitting down on the computer and I can hear them listening to it. The moment I see a red flag on what I'm listening to, I'm like, hey, what are you watching? Come here, let me bring it. And what do you do? No, you can't be watching this. So I'm moderating them the whole time.
That's really good that you're doing that as a parent. I think that's important, and I'm glad that you're doing that, because in other cases, like, it's just so consuming to children. And one of the things that's so crazy to me is that I know that my nephew watches Ryan's toy review on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And that's just this kid like playing with his toys, and now this kid has his own line of toys. Like, I've gone to Walmart and I saw like this little stamp that say like Ryan's toy review.
Yeah.
And they're making so much money. These parents are making money off their child playing with toys, and like that's like their whole business.
Yeah.
And then the kids, when they go to the store, what do they want? They want a toy that's been on YouTube. So like, it's so strategic. Like, these influencers, these people are paying these parents and these kids to like have these things in the video so that kids who are watching it are programmed to, when you go to the store, to purchase it.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. It's not even just like...
I don't want to say I wouldn't agree with the word programmed. I feel like it's a little too strong. I think strongly encouraged or motivated.
What do you mean program? What did I...
It's because if you say program, I feel like they're brainwashing us and type of shit.
Well, they are. It is a brainwashing system. It is. It's all strategized. It is a brainwash. What do you do? They're programming you to do their behaviors. You don't even know it yet. The Alexa, the Google Mini at your home is listening to everything. Your iPhone, your iWatch is tracking your location.
But what's the overall goal?
So that you can spend your money as a consumer to make them money.
But it's not like a sinister plot to kind of brainwash you. That's my point. Like, it's not to like, I'm going to brainwash these people to buy my product. Like, at the end of the day, we're doing this podcast, right? And we're trying to be as, friendly as possible, but it's not to brainwash the people watching. It's not to get them to...
No, it's to open their eyes. It's the exact opposite.
But to appeal to them, to kind of convince them.
But we're not here trying to sell anything.
Because
those videos and the content that is presented, when you download an app, I don't play games on my phone. I don't download games on my phone. I've never been that type of person where people get into certain games and then you get so involved in that game that you start making those purchases for like coins and extra credits and all that kind of stuff. So... It is a type of programming. It is a type of step process. Yeah. People don't just create content for us just to be here. Like,
no.
They're doing it with a goal, a result,
monetization.
There's an intention behind it.
Of course. But I don't think that's evil. Like in that connotation, I mean, where the way you're putting it, like they're brainwashing, because they're not doing it in a way that's unfamiliar. You know what I mean? I shoot photography, and I use words like, tell your story and your thing. And I'm not brainwashing people to think that there's a story to be told. I'm trying to appeal to them and convince them. So that's what I think they're doing. So I don't like putting it too much like as an evil connotation. Because at the end of the day, it's your choice, no?
Yeah, I mean, if of course, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it's your... And I'm glad... That's what I was trying to say, is that as a parent, if you're supervising, people kids that don't know any better...
Yeah.
then that's amazing that you're doing that, because I'm telling you, there is people behind a way to get you to do something. Like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know the proper definition of what brainwashing is, but what I'm trying to say is that everything is strategized, because
With
there's
the
a
intention.
process,
Yeah.
there's a plan, and there's an end result.
It's not
to it.
accident. Is what you're saying.
Nothing's by
It's-
accident.
Yeah.
No, yeah. All these influencers on YouTube, like
Yeah, no,
everyone
they're doing
gets
it for
paid.
money.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
So I'm not
But
saying, like, yeah, it's maybe the worst.
the reason why I kind of focus on that is because like I said, I like to pay attention to what these words kind of influence. And when you say words like, like brainwash, and I don't know what you said, like the other word programmed, it makes it feel like their intention is sinister. And in a way, like you can argue that it is, because they want money, but I mean, like after a certain while, and I know you have like different priorities, but there's a sub to a certain extent we all really do it for our well-being or for our living. You know what I mean? That's what I'm just saying. So that's because we're all people. It's not like they're demons, and a lot of people like to put this into like son el diablo and the iPad is demon demonio. We can't let our kids, because I'm doing a fucking Mexican.
Yeah, you're getting really crazy. No, I was gonna say that there is use in this. There is if you utilize this device correctly, it can have a positive impact in our world.
That's my point.
I'm just telling you, like, there's content that people create, like educational content.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Like, you could
I
be on your
learned
iPad
the
12 hours
majority
a
of
day
the-
if you're going to be learning something.
Exactly.
But not if you're going to be playing,
Like
or
a
you're going to be watching
specific
someone
game,
else playing
shooting
toys.
shit. Yeah, I know. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with my kids. Like, I see they watch, like, Ryan, 3-year-old, learn ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, nursery rhymes, the whole day, just watching and watching. I was raised, I think after like maybe 12, I've always been about video games and shit like that, but I've learned a lot from being on my computer. How many hours I spend a day is a lot on my computer. And I learned so much because it's just untapped, unlimited content going into learning. You know what I mean? But that's how you're using it. A lot of people like to spend up time looking at porn or
video games.
Well, I watch video games. I do. Don't get me wrong. But I've realized that it can get addicting. But then you also have to learn how to manage your time.
We just come from different perspectives, and I know that I don't think nothing's right or wrong. I just personally don't.
Yeah, no, right or wrong.
Involve myself.
Right or wrong is a really strong word, I think, because it's an opinion. I think right or wrong.
I said that there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
So what do you mean it's a strong word? Like I said, I don't think no one's right or wrong. I just think it's the way you like.
Yeah, I'm adding to that. Like, I think the reason why I don't think there's no right or wrong is because it's a matter of opinion.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, we come from different backgrounds and different interests. For me, it doesn't make sense for me to be like all day on a computer, on a monitor, on my phone. Like, I get overwhelmed. I get headaches. Like, I just can't do it. Like, I grew up outside playing, getting thorns stuck in my feet, falling off trees, climbing trees, like getting dirty, I can't stay inside the household. Like, I just don't spend that much time.
And so as far as phones, are you in that same?
I have, let me see. I will be honest with you right here. Look.
Yeah. Oh, you're
I have 70 unread messages. I have 142 missed calls. No, I will tell you this. I don't spend too much time on my phone, like texting and all that, because when I'm with someone, I'm not the type of person to be on my phone when I go out to eat with anybody. I give people my undivided attention, because real conversations, real human interactions are way more important
valuable.
for me
There's
than
a lot
that.
So as an extension, though, of your knowledge, I like to think of my phone as, and a lot of people don't, is having the entire world's knowledge in your hands.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Jobs, calm down.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like that, a lot of people take it for granted. Like, there's things like my wife tells me, and what do you think about this? And what's this? I'm like, dude, just Google it. You have the whole world's information at your hands. That's what people take for granted.
Like I say, once you learn how to utilize it correctly, then yeah. But for children to just have accessibility to it,
no, it has to be moderated.
Yeah. So,
and the reason why people don't moderate it is because they don't have time, which is a separate argument in itself. Because the way the American society is structured, which again is another argument in itself, but we work 40 hours a week, little bit of time. By the time people who work regular day jobs get home, they don't have time to raise their kids or the motivation to raise their kids. So
I will say this. My last thing that I'll say about the technology is that I think that is important if you utilize it correctly, and it has made a huge contribution into our society and moving forward for a more progressive society, but there should be moderation.
No,
At the end of the
moderation
day,
with anything,
with
right?
anything.
Yeah. What
So,
about implants? What do you think about implants?
like
Like boobs? No, I'm
everything with moderation.
no. Look, okay. They're trying to develop this technology where you can essentially basically add an implant to your brain and expand your connection to your phone. Like, let's say it'll have Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and all that stuff. You wouldn't want that?
Bye.
Why not?
That is crazy that you say that, because I'm not like super religious. I'm very spiritual. And doesn't it say something like
What's
that
the
in the
difference?
Bible? That I will go back to that, but really quick, that they want it, that in the Bible it says something about implanting a chip inside you. Like, it says something like sooner or later in the future. I can't remember, and
It's just the mark of the beast. That's what they say. The mark
but
of the beast.
Something
But
I don't know the exact. But we'll go. And I just wanted. It's just
Google
crazy.
it. I think you can Google it.
I'll Google it later.
Google it, because I don't.
No,
please,
I don't know.
'cause
There's something about it. I don't got time to Google it. I know in the Bible they make a reference to some type of chip insertion in your body.
Yeah.
They do that, and they said that they were gonna start like testing it like on animals,
think
like
they
if they
did
got
that.
lot. What? You don't think what?
They did that. They said that in the Bible.
Okay, how much you want to? You're gonna look, and I know I'm gonna be right because
Just
I know
please,
I heard
while
it.
I'm talking, you can look for it, because I really don't believe what you're saying. That's
That
in
it was
the Bible.
in there. It is in the Bible.
Look for it.
It is.
Put your mic down and use your two fingers.
It really is in the Bible. I remember
Because I've heard of the mark of the beast. I've heard
Maybe
mark
that's what it
of the
is.
beast, but I think that's taken
like
out
the
of
number,
context.
like the
Yeah,
when
yeah.
they do the tattoo.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I think that only will benefit our ability to think. You know, the way I'm talking about implants is artificial intelligence into you. Like, let's say I put this little chip in your head, right? You know how your phone calculates math problems and Google searches, and anytime you need to look for something, like right now, right?
It says like in the Revelations here, it says the mark of the beast, like you mentioned, an implanted microchip.
What's the actual?
The mark mentioned in the Bible prophecy is a governmental system headed by an evil human dictator. I know that the Bible has
This is
talked about
confirmation biased.
it. We can look it up, and the audience can look it up too. But I know that I've heard stories like in church about this. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's why I say I'm spiritual, not religious.
I don't know. I kind of discredit the Bible in a lot of things.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you brought that up, and I
Yeah.
thought of it, and we were going. Our
Yeah.
our podcast is about
Okay,
beyond
so
conversation, so it just made me think
your
of
phone.
something that I had heard before.
Okay.
I don't know if this is true or not.
Your
I'm just
phone.
telling you.
Let's say you
heard
know
it before.
you Google stuff, right? Anytime
I
you
Google
you're
stuff,
looking
yeah.
for stuff, you make online shopping, right? You do all that stuff. You use your calculator, right?
Yeah,
What if you could put that immediately available access?
I would not want to do that
Why?
because that takes away my freedom to think for myself.
The only thing I don't like about Black Mirror is that they always end these on the worst case scenario, which I understand it's an interesting perspective, but there is an opposite side to it. And my point is that just imagine, we can feel the pain of people being bombed in Syria. We can feel the agony. Because arguably speaking, you don't know how something is...
I think that's like removal of free will.
No, I
I
mean,
couldn't
you're
do
going to
it.
have free will. You're going to be able to do whatever you want. You can even not use it if you want. I'm not forcing it on you. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
saying,
crazy.
like...
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't use it.
Here's the thing. Right now, have you ever...
I like not knowing everything. I like having to like fend for myself, and I
of
like having
course.
to.
But like, I'm talking about like motivation. Like, have you ever? I'm talking about like, have you ever been in a situation where you see and you're like, why isn't no one fucking paying attention to this? Like, have you ever been through that where you see some problem, let's say in Michigan, and okay, for example, in New York, right? All these people dying from coronavirus. We don't know, and we can't imagine, we can't fathom it because we're not there, we're not experiencing firsthand. But if somehow I can relay all those emotions that they're feeling, all the fear, all the agony into myself and actually feel it, like voodoo type shit, right?
But there's some people that can't handle all of that. Like,
No,
it
but my
needs to be a
point,
process.
That's when, imagine the whole country is on one mind and they'll be like, you know what? We need to help out immediately. We need to get on our shits together because that's scary to feel.
I could totally see the benefits, some benefits of it.
No, of course, there's always going to be like negative shit.
But that's
like, I know
just
what
too
you're saying.
risky. That's just too much.
It is, but I think that's our ultimate, what do you call it? Evolution.
But do you think you're gonna? I don't think you're gonna live. You think you're gonna live that long to like experience that? Like, is it gonna happen?
That's
in
one
our
of the
time?
topics is how
I don't
long
think we're
to
gonna
live.
see that. Like, eventually, maybe. But
If you had the chance to be immortal, like to live forever, would you take it? Like if I gave you this pill, and then this pill, you live forever, no sickness, You grow. I mean, how old are you? 26.
21.
26. You'll be 26 forever. You'll never get sick. Would you take it?
No.
Why?
I already. You should know me by now. I'm a very experiential learner. And to be able to know that I'm going to live forever, I would not value and I would not take advantage of my life.
I take it you believe there's heaven. You believe there's an afterlife, don't you? Which is basically immortality, right? But you believe that after you die.
No, but like right now, I haven't thought that far about it. I just know that I want to take. I love the idea of knowing that I'm not going to live forever because it helps me value the little things in life. Sometimes it does scare me, but I'm getting to a point in my life where I'm understanding that this is the way of life. Like, it's the circle of life. Like, it just happens. Like,
has someone died in your family?
So that was a good question, because if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said no. But I recently did have.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I just had a death in the family.
Yeah.
And it changed my perspective even more. It gave me a realization where I was honestly, and I've talked to my mom about this, is like I thought I was going to be more distraught. Like, I thought I was going to feel like a sense of not even like I thought it was going to really shake me up. But I was so grateful to be in a spiritual connection with my higher power. And I was able to have peace with what was happening. Mm-hmm. And it felt okay. And so when I realized that and I went through that, I was like, I think it's fine. I wouldn't want to live forever. Like, it's not supposed to be like that.
Who died?
I don't want to talk about it.
No, just like
an aunt.
Okay.
Like, I don't mind talking about it, but I don't want to, like, it's like, what, so why? What are you asking? Like, if it was somebody.
No. I asked because do you think they went to heaven? Like, what's your position on where they're at right now? What do you think about the afterlife? What's that position? Heaven, hell, do you believe in it?
I do believe in it. I think it does exist.
Yeah. I don't. And this thing, I believe in God. Don't get me wrong. I'm not atheist. I'm not an atheist at all. I believe in God and I believe in creation in a sense, but I think it's a more modernized way of. I like to call it modernized because.
So, what do you think happens when you die?
Here's the thing. No, like for real, like.
Well, what do you think happens when you die?
I just base it off as much as I can. I like to think of things in logical perspective, and I think you know that for me, that I like to make things out of fact, not out of feelings or Bibles and stuff like that.
Okay.
Not
what do you think happens after life? After you die?
What do you remember when you were young, when you were a baby?
That I was in heaven with God planning out my life.
Come on, dude. What do you fucking smoking some shit? That's what you're smoking. No, for real. Like, seriously, what do you remember when you were a baby? 1 year old. What's the earliest memory you recall?
My God. Not much.
Right? That's my point. Is that the millions of years, the Industrial Revolution, slavery, the founding of North America, we've lived 26 years. Which is a lifetime, right? Because we have that lifetime. And it's forever for us. It's our perceived understanding of what forever is, right? Mm-hmm. Which is just that. But the millions and thousands or billions of years before, nothing. But think about it, dude. We have 26 years here, and that's a long time. A fucking week is a long time if you count the seconds. You know what I mean? So my point is, before you were born, you had no realization of the amount of time passing you. In fact, you weren't even aware of not realizing it. My point? You understand?
It's a whole thing. I totally get where you're going, because I totally get it. I totally get this idea.
Yeah.
But if I go down that rabbit hole,
it's not a rabbit hole, because look, it puts it nice into perspective.
It's a lot of thinking, and I know that our podcast is beyond conversation. I totally get that idea, but it just sounds complicated.
Look, listen to the circle of life that I'm about to bestow upon you. Look, so because before I had no perceived understanding of what time was and what happened before my death, that's what I think death is afterwards. Like, I'm not gonna be even like when you go to sleep, you don't realize it's 8 hours. You don't feel 8 hours, right? Mm-hmm. You just wake up. So when you die, I think you just die and you don't feel anything. You're not aware that you're dead. So there's nothing to complain about or anything. You're just dead, and that's it. And it's sad. It is depressing, because you're like, God, So what is there to live for, right? But that's my point.
But
though.
what does it matter though? Is that what you're trying to prove your case? Like you would take the pill for mortality?
No, well, that's a separate like argument. But what I'm trying to get at is that the reason why I think there's no death, though the whole thing, a lot of people I think would want to go is like, well, fuck it, life fucking useless, right? Pointless, right? If there's no afterlife. But I think the fact that, in my belief, right, this is an opinion, this isn't a fucking fact or anything, like, because I don't know what happens. But
Obviously.
yeah. So because I know that because I believe that after death, I'm not even going to be realizing what eternity feels like. I'm not going to be aware of not being aware, right? I value life more. You get me? Because it's a privilege to have this conversation with you. It's a privilege to experience what my kid is before I die. It's a privilege to know, otherwise not being aware of not even knowing, you know?
I personally think there's hope at the end of the tunnel. That's why, because I try to be optimistic as much as possible, even after my death. Like I'm like, there's just good. There just has to be good, because good feels good to me. It's a good feeling. Do you
think it's because it's something you're hoping for? Or like as opposed to like
it's because why would I think negative? Like why would I think that there's nothing? Like I
think because it adds value to life though.
I think I think both, like I said, I think you're saying that it adds value, but my perspective also adds value.
No, it does. You
know, it's like both. Like that's why, again, I don't think there's a right or wrong. We go back to that kind of thinking. Like I just think that your thinking is a little bit
you think
hard.
In heaven or hell, right? Like that's what you think. So basically, you're saying that you're earning like over what heaven and hell is. You're earning your right to be in heaven.
No, I don't think that far into it. I don't think that
Why
far
not,
into
though?
it. Because I'm like valuing my life right now. Like I'll get there when I get there. Like
at what age would you get there?
I don't know. Just not right now.
Or what if you die tomorrow?
Then that's just what it is. I don't care.
That's
living
my
for today.
point. Like
I'm living in the moment.
I'm trying to close that circle as far as my thinking process. And
you asked me about mortality and whether I would want to live forever. No. What about you?
Yes.
Okay.
Because.
But what does that have anything to do with the afterlife?
Because life is valuable. That's what I'm saying.
You're saying yes because you think that there's no afterlife.
No. Well, I think there's no afterlife, and I'm not going to be aware. So regardless if there is, I wouldn't be aware. Like it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
If I was in your perspective, I would still be like, no, I don't want to live forever. It's exhausting living in this world. Like I love it and I love my family, but there's.
Have you seen One Strange Rock?
No, I haven't. I don't want to live forever.
We live in paradise, dude.
I don't know.
This world.
We live in paradise?
Yeah, this world is a paradise.
I think our world is amazing, and I think the people that we interact with is amazing.
It's a privilege. Look at all the other planets.
Why would I want to live forever? I just don't think of that. I don't like the infinity part of life.
The Adam and Eve story, right? How the God took away their privilege of living in that Garden of Eden and basically in paradise, right? I think that's a figure, or what do you call it? A metaphor for when we were initially made, or in some previous life or something, our previous versions of ourselves, aliens. I don't know. It goes along. I think we had perfection. I think we had the ability to live forever.
I'm surprised that you're like referencing the Bible when you said that you're not religious.
No, I'm not. I'm not religious, but I do believe, like I believe the 10 Commandments, and I believe about marriage, but it's not the way that you or most people are. I'm sorry, spit.
Not to put you on the spot, but are you legally married?
Legally, no. Well, actually, yes.
Common law marriage?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's the same.
Because you're telling me you believe in marriage, and I think that.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the interpretation of marriage that you're believing in. That which is like signing a document.
What I'm saying though, with the religion part of it, like, because I don't want to I personally don't want to reference the Bible, because I've made it clear that I'm a very spiritual person.
What does that mean?
That I just have a connection in my own way. The way that you interpret marriage, I interpret it differently. The same way religion and spirituality. I have a just different relationship with my higher power. I believe that there's something higher and greater than myself, and that just gives me hope.
Okay. Let's
go back into how this has like. Oh, so we have different perspectives.
Yeah,
obviously right?
Yeah.
Obviously. And I don't know.
You're obviously liberal. I'm just playing. No, and then
I don't know. It's just crazy. It's just too much to. I mean, it's overwhelming if I were to be thinking that way. You have great points. Don't get me wrong. You have great points, But don't you think that our life is too short? Because isn't it,
It is.
evident?
It is very
isn't
short.
it evident that
It's short.
we're not going to live like past 100 years?
Relatively speaking, it's short.
That's what I'm saying. So
which
like,
is why I want to live for a longer time.
I guess. And that's why for me, it's like, well, I know that I can't change that.
No, ultimately, we have been increasing our capacity of living over the past years. We used to live till we were 30 for like 300 years ago or 400 years ago. 30.
I would disagree saying that we're living a lot less than we used to live.
No.
People are dying at a
the
younger
average
age.
Life expectancy. These are statistics, man.
Okay.
We have
y'all better fact check this, boy.
Yeah, dude, statistically speaking, we're living the average lifespan life of the medium whatever is like I think it's 80 right now or 90.
You might be right, but to me it seems like we're living a lot less than.
Yeah, but what does that mean,
times.
Michael? What does that mean to me? What does that mean?
I just remember. I just saying there's a lot of like sicknesses. You're hearing like a lot more about cancer.
Why?
And stuff like that
Because we have technology that
releases radiation.
That shows us all the news all the time. Here's the thing. What do you think during the Black Plague, a third of the population died? How do you think that felt, dude? How do you think that apocalypse felt? Because it was an apocalypse.
I don't know because I wasn't there.
Exactly. But I'm saying like fathom the idea is what I'm saying. Like one third of your friends are going to die, which means for every 3 people, one of those dies, obviously, right? If that were to happen right now, we'd be thinking that there's a fucking rapture coming and the world is ending and there'd be fucking nut jobs going crazy and all this shit.
Isn't that kind of happening right now?
No, not 1/3. We don't have a 30% mortality rate with the coronavirus here, right? We'd be fucking going crazy thinking that the rapture is coming.
But but what does it matter? The percent of people are dying. People are dying. Like it's a plague.
No, but the people dying all the time. That's the thing. It's not.
But more people are dying now because of the pandemic.
Yeah, but not as much as something that's really alarming. Well, no,
it goes back to that's why I know that this sounds crazy, but that's why I'm just so at peace with my life that. Honestly, like I'm scared,
go
yes, to an extent for other people because I don't want to be selfish with me exposing myself and perhaps spreading something, right? But at the end of the day, I'm like at peace. Like if something were to happen to me, I would be okay with it. Like it's just like I told you, I believe that everything happens for a reason, and if it's my time to go, then it's my time to go. That's why I don't care.
Have
to
you ever
live
smoked
longer. Weed? I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff on the podcast. What does that have anything to do with? Oh, because but you can't just say because I'm thinking this way that that I do drugs. Like
no. You're assuming. You're assuming that that's what I'm implying.
What were you implying?
Why
did you ask me that question?
Because I went to Las Vegas on January.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic, obviously.
Okay.
Not like your ass fucking booking Cancun trips.
I didn't know that was gonna happen.
Okay, so and I had a gummy, weed gummy. Right, but I had 3 actually. That's actually really fucked up. If you know about edibles, I didn't know obviously, and I died, and I came back.
Oh my god! Bye.
No, dude.
You're getting off topic.
No, that's the same topic because I.
That's just
what I'm saying is that
substance that it just changes your like perspective. Like you're.
Have you had a weed gummy?
You're manipulating your thoughts by engaging in a substance, and that's not real. No, it's not.
Well, you stop having chemical processes, right? And electrical signals.
Drugs enhance that.
No.
Yes, they do.
The gummy,
it changes,
bro. I feel like I died when I took that
because
gummy.
You're taking that stuff. Like no, that
I know, and I'm never doing it again. I'm not saying like it's good.
I'm just saying that's like.
I was referring to how you said I accepted death. Like I've already if I die, I die. You've accepted that, piece, right? Yeah. When I took that gummy, regardless of whatever chemical imbalance that it caused and whatnot, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But everything is caused by imbalance. Like right now, you are being chemically altered.
By coffee.
No, not, well, yeah, by caffeine, but by this conversation because it's inciting certain electrical, things in your brain that are contributing to chemical imbalances. Not imbalances, but changes that alter your mood. Because that's what we are. We are electrical signals and chemical reactions.
I used to be really scared of dying before. I couldn't even go to sleep because I was scared that if I fell asleep that I wasn't going to wake up. And the reason I felt that way, the reason I was scared of dying was because I was scared that I was going to miss my family. Like that was the biggest reason.
Yeah.
Because I love my family so much that I couldn't imagine not ever seeing them again.
It's a privilege.
That's the only. But over the years, I have grown and I have experienced this world.
I don't give a fuck about them no more.
No, it's that I've experienced things in life. And I know that it's real. I know that I'm not going to be here forever. So I just have to make peace with it because I'm not going to constantly live my life thinking like, I want more of it. It's like enjoy what you have because it is precious. So like that's what I'll say.
But that's why that supporting argument where I tell you I don't believe that. Look, there's also another substantial amount of evidence that I think that there is something else after life, but these are just thoughts that I run through my head because I don't know what happens. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to make a point is that even if you think, if let's say you're an atheist and you don't believe in heaven or hell, even if that were the case, that after you die, you just die and nothing happens, it should only motivate you stronger to take advantage of the moments you have. You get me? Like every moment you have is a gift, is a privilege. And knowing, even if you do believe in afterlife or not, you have to take advantage of it because it is a privilege. And that's why I say we live in paradise. Because imagine if you didn't have the ability to feel emotion. That's sad. Yeah. Even if it's sadness, like it's a privilege to feel sad. Like it's a privilege to feel my son cry because it gets me sad. And if I never felt that, I don't know what I would be. Even if it's a negative emotion, I think it's still a privilege.
But don't you think that because you don't know, I say spiritual because it's kind of me being 1 foot in, 1 foot out with that, right?
Yeah, like you're still on the debate because I know you're influenced a lot by family members and traditions and church and this
media,
thing.
everything.
But there's certain things you disagree with as far as what the religious promotes.
That's why I say that I'm spiritual because I want to be able to have my own beliefs and interpret.
No, I get you.
Interpret things.
I think we've had this argument before with.
I've been privileged enough to travel to different countries and witness other people practice a different religion.
Yeah.
And I respect that because the only reason I grew up with this certain type of religion is because of where I was born. If I was born anywhere...
Hispanic culture, strong Catholic, right?
If I was born anywhere in another place, my religion would be completely different.
Yeah, no, obviously.
So for me, I take precaution with what I believe in. Mm-hmm. You know, so I'm not going to say I know that there's a heaven and a hell. It's just I just want to believe what I want to believe, but at the same time, because it gets overwhelming sometimes when you go into that conversation. Yeah. Where now, like, I'm not going to think about that, and I'm not going to say I only believe one thing because maybe a few years from now, it could change.
That if God were to stand in front of you, you would burst into flames because of how you just can't handle it.
Like, come on, like that, like that's what I'm saying. Like,
but like that's the thing. I don't. But like, if you take it in a literal aspect, like if he's a guy and he comes up and you just fucking burst into flames because some magical forces bacon. I like to go into what that means metaphorically. I look like a book.
But what's the point of that?
My point is
not just like you. I'm saying not your point. I'm saying what's the point of that idea, like of being in front of a higher power?
That's what I'm saying. Like
exploding.
You said specifically right now, the thought of infinity, the thought of immortality, of basically infinity, right? Like, is overwhelming to think about these types of thoughts, and it's enough to make people go crazy.
Yeah,
that's what I think that has that makes that metaphor.
Yeah,
that overwhelming divinity is so much to comprehend, which is, you know, what is infinity, what is forever, what is the purpose, what is all these things that people go crazy.
Because you want to know something?
What?
One of the things that is like really mind-boggling to me, I don't know if you remember being in Miss Mada's class one time, their math class, geometry. Remember geometry?
Oh, you remember that one?
The dimension.
Dude, that was fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like the dimension part. It's like
crazy.
We're here.
Yeah.
We're in the like the dimension. And then there's another dimension.
I believe that.
So what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to get at is like we live in different dimensions. Do you believe like in ghosts? Like in
I do. Well, in a way, because you know how in that little show they were saying that this dimension can't see the other dimension and it passes through and that whole shit, like, and then the other dimension, the third dimension can't see the fourth dimension, but it can see the second and the first dimension, and it goes into it's basically a video about dimensional figures, and it's put into this playful cartoon that kind of helps you understand what one-dimensional, two-dimensional, geometry shit, right? But it's crazy because it got into a philosophical level about what perspective is within third dimension, if there's a fourth dimension. I believe the fourth dimension is time. And I believe that people who have access to the fourth dimension, like God, I think, like the higher power.
It sounds like it's like the purgatory, don't you think? I like that's what I thought. Like, there's so many different connections with things, and I thought,
Like,
okay, once
like
you
time
die,
is irrelevant.
you're waiting there because, right? People say that God's gonna come
Yeah.
back. People don't just go to heaven when they die.
I heard
They
Neil deGrasse Tyson say, no, Neil deGrasse or whatever, the guy who says, he said that fourth dimensional beings, when you ask them time questions, like, well, when was I born? Like, they'll tell you, like, you were always born. And
Who's gonna? What do you mean? Who has access to the people in the fourth dimension?
I'm saying, like, fourth dimension. This is hypotheticals, bro. Please chill out. Look, I'm not saying
I
this
mean,
is
we
true. I don't
gotta
have a
also
fucking
be-
fact box here, dude.
No,
I'm saying,
saying, like-
hypothetically speaking, we're third dimensional beings, right? Because we live in a third dimensional space, right?
Yes.
The fourth dimension, he says, he believes there's time. And he says that people who have access, not people, but beings from the fourth dimension, were we to have a conversation with them, however that conversation were to take place, because it's unfathomable to kind of imagine a third dimension being with a fourth dimension being, because it's a different perspective we can't even think about. But if they were to have a hypothetical conversation, I have to use these fucking words with you, Michael, because you think I'm being like serious, or
I'll let the listeners come up with their own idea
They said,
of this.
if you were to ask them,
conversation.
when was I born? They would say, you were always born. And when did I die? You said, you'd always been dead. You've always been alive. You've always gone to college. This has always happened. Like, there's nothing you can change about that. You've always existed and you've never existed. It's some fucking crazy shit. But again, it's where insanity sets in, because you're not capable of comprehending these types of...
Who's not being
I think
able to
you.
comprehend?
No. Like,
I get it.
a
I
vast
totally
majority of
get it.
people.
I'm like, but I totally get. You've always been this type of person where you like go into the inside and you go super deep.
I dive into the rabbit
He
hole.
dives into it.
I go
I like
in,
to just
dude.
float.
I find
on
the
top.
fucking rabbit.
I like to dip my toe in there, but I don't like to go all the way.
I'm
down.
friends with the rabbit.
Like,
No,
I'm saying, like,
it's interesting, dude. It
it
opens your
is
perspective.
interesting. It is. That's what I'm telling you. But it's like, whoa, like it's so like.
It is scary though.
It's
if you kinda
crazy,
get
like,
it. If you
it's
let it get out of hand,
crazy.
I understand why people go crazy with these types of things.
You know what? Like when I think of this conversation, I think about when you go into a library and you see
Yeah.
all these books.
And you just see,
It's all these stories that people have written. Books and books and books and books of stories that people written that have
Mm-hmm.
lived way before us.
oh, how their memory is like
still here
infinite.
living.
That's my
why
point. At the end of the day, a memory. What is a memory? Like, this is another conversation for another day. But this is about what makes consciousness conscious. Like, like Michael, what makes you you? You know, if you were to get amnesia tomorrow and you forget everything about yourself and everyone about you, like everyone you know, is that still you?
You know what sometimes I think is that we're like, I'm laying down like in a hospital bed. I'm in a coma. Like, what if I was in a coma and I was
I think
playing
that
all of this out?
There's a theory about being in a simulation, but I simply countered it. Real
Here we go with the
simple.
Black Mirrors again.
No, it's not, because look, let's say we are.
There's an episode.
I know. I think I've seen it. It's the
Okay.
first one, I
I
think.
think, yeah.
If we are in a simulation, it's irrelevant, because we don't know how to distinguish what's the real simulation, what's not. So it's irrelevant. Like, even if we were, what's the point? There's no point, because we have no control over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense. Like, even if we were, this is our reality, and reality means this, so that's it.
Okay.
Any other reality is perceived as an alternate reality, even if it's the real reality, right? But again, it's perspective, right?
For sure.
Because your reality is a different reality than what mine is, solely based on our opinions and our perspective.
experiences.
And experiences, exactly. This is why I said, like, there's I like to think that the millions of people that inhabit it each have their own reality. Because it's true, they all think.
100%, yes. So let's start wrapping it up.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end.
What are wrap it up with your final thought about
what we
like
were talking about-
technology,
yeah,
and like
technology.
our mortality. Like, it is all connected.
It is. I think just like anything, people have always been afraid of new technology. When the phone came out, when the light bulb came out, dude, people were always afraid.
But like the benefit that the light bulb brought.
That's my point. Don't be afraid of future technology. Don't be afraid of it. It's scary because we don't understand. And whatever we don't understand is scary. The unknown is frightening. But that should not hinder your opinion on it.
To me, the reason why I have a problem with the chip insertion is because there's a difference between the light bulb, like the benefits, the clear benefits that it brings. And to me, the chip does not have clear benefits. Like, light is it's just I don't know. That's why I'm saying like, it's
I'll
like,
put it in this, just like you said about that whole, like this is another story from about vaccines and shit. I wouldn't like to be the first test subjects for these types of things. Obviously, if it was the first chip, first generation, I'll let it pass because I don't trust it. I'd be that. I'd wait until maybe 4 generations, see people doing it, and be like, maybe it's not a bad idea, and I'll do it. But I have to see it because I don't trust it either. Like about that. New technology is weird, especially when, dude, they have to cut. This is actual technology that's being developed right now. They cut about this much of your skull circle, and then they replace it, sew it back.
It just doesn't make sense to me to do all of that.
It's smart. Artificial intelligence is the future, and we obviously can't turn into robots and think like a computer can. So the best thing we can do, which is we're doing right now, we're like an essential. This is an extension of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just basically artificial intelligence, a symbiotic relationship between us and artificial intelligence is like, I think, the best way to go.
Yeah. I would just say my thoughts on this is that I personally just I wouldn't want to do it. It doesn't make sense to me personally. However, just like anything else, there's so much influence around. And if everybody's doing it, I don't want to be like left behind. I also have the idea of like the FOMO part. It's kind of like I don't want to miss out, like fear of missing out. I'm not trying to miss out on that experience either.
Yeah.
But to each their own. To each their own. Like if that's you, then go for it. But there's something about the learning process that I really appreciate, and to just have something so accessible, it to me it just defeats the purpose of like the process of things.
No, I get you. I understand.
So
I have an argument for that, but I don't want to go into.
Okay. Thank you. That's all for today.
That's all for today, and thank you guys for listening. I think we've done 3 of these simultaneously. Obviously, because I'm wearing the same shit.
Yeah.
I don't wear the same shit all the time, but hopefully this is the first episode. I mean, I'm already assuming like we have people watching, but we're just trying to see how this goes. So, or no, this is not the first episode. It's like the 3rd one. I don't know, but
yeah, we're gonna cut all of that out.
Yeah.
We already wrapped it up. We're gonna close it up.
Because I'm the one who edits.
Yeah,
but,
he's gonna edit.
Hopefully this is. It's not. Again, this isn't.
We already wrapped it up. You already gave your final.
This isn't to like make things a fact. This isn't a fact. We're doing this just as we're conversing.
Yeah, we're just talking.
It's unobjectively conversing, or objectively. I'm not sure, but that's our take. Anyway, guys, we'll see you next time.
It's subjective, not objective.
Oh, subjective, right? Yeah. But it's good reasoning because you get 2 perspectives, so that's cool.
Do you get a right and a wrong one? Me being right.
Okay, bro.
Signing off.
Okay, later, guys.
Imagine we're like, I get the last word, and you're like,
no.